Let's get ready to run into a new year, as we hope everyone had a great holiday season. Red is always in the festive mood. It will be our goal to bring you all the best Cardinal highlights throughout 2023. Happy New Year! Sports Night is next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sports Night. I'm Joe Young.
And I'm Howard Shapiro, and Happy New Year to everybody out there, and Happy New Year to you, my friend.
And to
hope
you,
you had a,
and
hope you had a good one.
Glad to have you back on the desk with me, but unfortunately for our fans, this is going to be a somewhat incomplete edition of Sports Night, as many of the results are still pending.
It's kind of like our careers. Yeah.
I
take full results.
I take the blame. I got a little lazy around the holidays and got us through. But we're going to start 2023 with the commitment to do better next week.
Absolutely.
But we will get caught up as best we can on what we can. Start with the boys hockey team. Only one game in the last 2 weeks. That was a game against South St. Paul that was originally postponed due to weather. And the Cardinals absolutely pounded on the Packers. 8-1 the final in that one. Tyson had a hat trick plus a helper. Barsness had 2 goals, 2 assists. Ben Kish also had a 4-point night with 1 and 3. Caden Alphin had a goal, 2 assists, so 3-point night for him, and Eli Bowden with 3 assists for a 3-point game. And that was heading into a long holiday break. We'll see how they respond coming out of it. They host Osseo on Thursday, and Howie?
We'll be there.
And then, weather permitting, and then at Centennial on Saturday. We've had 2 snowouts this season, both the boys hockey teams.
Yeah, because that South St. Paul game was one of them they were supposed to do.
Girls hockey team, before the Christmas weekend, they played Maple Grove, ranked in the top 5 in state, and the Bluebirds hung right with them. Lost to the Crimson 4-2. Ketting had 2 assists. And Zaholka and Bernovic, the goal scorers for the Bluebirds. Wastrel made 24 saves in the loss, dropping the Cardinals or the Bluebirds rather, to 7-5 on the year. The Bluebirds were at Doug Woog Arena in St. Paul last week, looking to defend their title at the Kaposia Classic. Up first, a tough task, the 9-1 Stars from Academy of Holy Angels, currently ranked 2nd in Single A. Special teams and goaltending were the keys in a low-scoring affair that needed a shootout to determine a winner. Bluebirds start the scoring late in the first. Sidney Bernovic, bringing the pressure shorthanded, forces the turnover, takes it straight to the net. Goalie makes the save, but Bernovic stays with it, wraps it around for the score. CPCR up 1-0. But the Stars responding kind. Audrey Garton, winning a puck battle at the blue line, skates to the top of the circles, whips a wrister top shelf. Shorthanded tallies on both sides has us even at 1 apiece. Both teams brought pressure and created chances, but both goalkeepers up to the challenge. Eva Bentley with a stop on Cam Singh from point-blank range in the third period, or late in the second period. Then in the third period, good chance for Holy Angels. Taylor Leisner weaving her way through the slot. Maddie Wastrel able to shut her down. This one stays 1-1 through an 8-minute overtime. We go to a best-of-3 shootout. Bluebirds come up empty on their first 2 chances, and Lesnar beats Wastrel over the blocker to give the Stars a 2-0 win in the shootout, and that helps them advance in the brackets. But fighting tooth and nail in a defensive struggle with one of the better teams in the state of Minnesota.
Well, yeah, the fact that they went to a shootout, obviously you want to win that shootout, but the fact that they took them to a shootout, it has to look pretty good for the squad. And you didn't get the W, but you took a team that is very good, very competitive, right down to the wire.
Yeah, they had another close game in the semifinal round against a conference opponent. They beat the Elks last year in this tournament on their way to the championship. This time, they beat them to get to the consolation final. Bernovic had a goal and an assist, so did Lily McKenzie. Brooklyn Johnson had the other goal for the Bluebirds. Scott and Eswegan had assists for CPCR in the 3-2 win.
Well, the girls were back at Woog Arena for the consolation final Wednesday afternoon, facing off against Egan. The Wildcats scored their first win of the season in semifinal round, so they had some extra pep in their step coming into the contest. And it was another epic battle that required bonus hockey. The Bluebirds' 7th overtime in 15 games this season. CPCR starts the scoring early. In the first, Cam Singh with a good hold on the boards. A beautiful backhand feed. Sydney Bernovic one-times it into the webbing, and the Bluebirds will play with the lead. We're going to go all the way to early third period, playing 4-on-4. Wildcats win the puck in the corner. Play out in front, Wastrel. You're going to see coming up here, Wastrel makes a couple of saves before Eva Messinger puts the third chance home. We're tied at 1 in overtime. Bluebirds with good pressure on the forecheck. Cam Singh tries to jam it home on the backhand. CPCR pokes it away. Whitehead is able to cover. We're inside the final minute coming up here of overtime. Natalie Hutmaker with speed down the left wing. Wastrel makes the save. Hutmaker crashes in and pushes Wastrel and the puck into the net, but that's no goal. We're going to go to a shootout, goes to round 5. Brooklyn Johnson has to score. Makes a good move, but Whitehead able to stay with her. Makes the save. The Bluebirds lose 2-1 in the shootout for the second time in 3 games. Tough way to leave that tournament.
Yeah, and they both go into the score sheet officially as ties.
Yep.
As the one game they played last year in that tournament did as well, that went through a shootout. They came out on the winning side. But so much extra hockey for this club through the first half of the schedule. 7 times going to extra periods in 15 games. That's pretty unbelievable. And this team, I exchanged some emails with Coach Gutterman this morning. He said, the 5 days off didn't really help us much. Right. Not the tournament we wanted. He didn't feel they had as much energy and as much pressure as he would have liked to see them, and they're going to need to up their game this week because they are at Andover, ranked number 1 defending state champion Huskies on Tuesday, and then they get to see that Elk River Zimmerman team again on Saturday on the road up at Elk River, and the Elks are going to want a little payback.
Oh, they certainly will for that defeat in the tournament.
Well, the wrestling team had a weird holiday break. They were all ready to go down and do some wrestling down in the Sunshine State of Florida. And just days before they left, they found out that they couldn't have official meets against teams from states that don't border Minnesota. An MSHSL rule that had been overlooked. So they went down there and they did some scrimmaging, and Coach Adams said that might have actually been better for them because they were able to work more in depth with each of the guys and get them some good experience against good competition that they would not normally see, but also do it in a way that would feel pretty good, get them a little more learning experience. And he said, honestly, if we had been keeping score, maybe could have taken 4 of the 5 teams they faced.
Well, the nice thing, anytime you get to leave the cold state of Minnesota and go down to Florida for a few days, that's a win-win in my book.
Yeah, they get a couple of days over at Universal Studios and Disney World as well. But right back to work this week. They're at Blaine to take on the Bengals on Thursday. And then on Friday, they'll be in Buffalo taking on the Bison as well as the team from Monticello. Gymnastics has had a couple of weeks off. They will be at the Princeton Invitational on Saturday, and then a dual meet on the road against Elk River next Thursday. Swimming and diving team, I got to apologize, completely overlooked them last sports night 2 weeks ago. Did not get results in time for this last week and a half, so we'll have hopefully a whole bunch of stuff to talk about for this team next week. They have the battle for the middle school pool against Blaine on Thursday. They are the home team this year. And then they're at the Maroon Gold Invite down at the University of Minnesota on Saturday.
Coach Donaldson is sitting in his living room right now with a Joe Yandel putting a pin in it. So if you get a little twitch, you'll know what's going on.
The Nordic ski team had this time off. They went up and had their winter week, team week away, and got over into Wisconsin, did some skiing in a non-competitive format, and now back to work again this week. Northwest Suburban Conference is at Elm Creek on Tuesday, and then they have the Mesabi East Invite on Saturday. Alpine ski team had its first race back on the 20th. Did not get results from that because I waited too long to ask for them. They have their second race of the season on Thursday of this week, again at Wild Mountain. They'll have their third race of the year, first at Trollhagen next week on Thursday. Well, the boys basketball team was able to snap its 3-game losing streak before their holiday break by putting up big numbers against St. Francis. Tuesday the 20th, the Cardinals welcomed the 2-2 Saints to the Fieldhouse. It was the first game in a 5-game homestand that will be critical for the Cardinals moving forward, and they started it out the right way. Opening possession against the Saints, Cummings-Coleman drives and dishes. Jerry Freeman wide open in the corner, knocks down the 3. He had 14 in the game. Defense helps the Cardinals control the game. Ray Bennett with the steal, up court for C-squared. He spins to the basket, another big game for him. Cardinals had 7 3-pointers in the first half from 4 different players. Jeremy Hetwer hitting this one from the left corner. Cards lead by as much as 24. Saints cut that lead to a dozen before the break, but the Cardinals build it back up in the second. Cummings-Coleman digs that one free, takes it to the hole. And then Jackson Smith ripping one free. He gets it to Bennett. He gets it to Kaijon. He dances his way to the rim. He led the Cardinals with 26 points. Kaijon only had 3 assists against the Saints, but they don't get much prettier than this. The no-look dish to Smith for the easy basket. Cardinals able to finish strong and secure a 93-61 win.
They're a lot of fun to watch. There's no question about that, and they play really, really quickly, and they play really fun defense as well.
And unselfishly, it's sometimes maybe one too many passes, but they are fun, and they get a number of contributions from all over the floor.
Well, after a short holiday break, the Cardinals were back on the court last Friday hosting Chisago Lakes. Both teams were 3-3, but the Cardinals had a significant advantage in strength of schedule, as well as points per game. And they knew they needed a win, with the opponents only getting tougher as the homestand continues. Cardinals played with the lead throughout the first, but could never pull away. Cummings-Coleman had 21 points before the break, but his team was only up 43-42. Coon Rapids trying to rebuild the lead early in the second. Jerry Freeman, using his speed to get loose, finds Kenny Jones down low for the easy basket. Wildcats got a spurt and a brief lead, but the Cards respond. Freeman, another good feed, this time to Jackson Young on the baseline. Young had a career game against Chisago. His 3-pointer put the Cardinals back in front to stay, part of a 20-point effort for the sophomore. Cummings-Coleman closed the game strong and ensured the Cardinals' victory. His 3-pointer, part of a stretch where he personally outscored the Wildcats 14-4. He was far from done. C-squared with a record-setting performance. He pokes this one free and then finishes on the breakaway. His 43 points, a new school record, beating the former mark held by Tyrion Johnson from 2017. Cardinals a 101-84 win, just the 3rd or 4th time that they've hit triple digits in program history as well. They are so much fun to watch, and I mean, there's so many different contributors. I mean, we don't talk enough about Jerry Freeman, I don't think, because he really is a strong contributor to this team.
And I think he's gotten better.
Yes.
Every time we've seen him, not only in his scoring, but his distributing,
Very
the way
so.
he runs the offense. He definitely is a spark, and Cummings-Coleman just, we saw the first game we did, he was kind of down, I think, and then after that, he's just blown up every night. Yeah,
and I had a chance to interview both he and Jackson Young afterwards, and I just looked at Kaijon. I said, young man, you were so much fun to watch, and just big smile on his face. And Jackson Young, I thought he did a really nice job for his very first interview on CTN. First of hopefully many to come for that young man.
He was fantastic on the floor that night as well. And they need to keep up the strong play, because now it's section rival Cambridge Isani coming in for game number 3 of this 5-game homestand. And then they host Champlin Park on Friday. And Howie, on Tuesday,
weather permitting, we will be there.
There we go. We got weather coming in. It's threatening.
It's Minnesota.
We'll see if they're able to get that contest in. Well, the girls basketball team had a relatively long holiday break, so when they hosted section rival Duluth East last Tuesday, it was their first game in 12 days. Both teams were desperately looking for a win. The Cardinals still looking for their first of the year, and the Greyhounds were just 1-6 to start the season. So both squads were fighting to stay out of the cellar in Section 7-4A. Greyhounds get out of the gates fast, defense forcing the turnover. Rachel Hagan scoops up the loose ball, takes it to the rim for the basket, and the foul. Duluth East jumps out to a 10-2 lead. Coon Rapids trying to keep pace. Caitlin Green does all the work on this play, weaving her way through the entire defense and eventually getting the basket. That got the deficit down to 5 points midway through the first. Unfortunately, that's as close as it would get. Aaliyah Graham with a nice drive and spin to the left hand. Graham had just 5 points, but grabbed 10 boards in the game. Home team got a strong effort from Kaylee Bierman as well. Good move to find some room and score high off the glass. She had 14. The Greyhounds led 35-21 at the break. And they add to it with a quick start in the second. Haken taking it strong down the right side. Pushed the lead to up over 20 points. Cardinals never able to threaten the lead, but they don't roll over either. Green with a pull-up jumper, part of her career best 21-point effort. But the Greyhounds quashed their hopes with a 12-0 run late in the game. Hagen all alone at the back door. Easy basket. Greyhounds run away with a 73-54 win.
There were some good spurts in that game, and it again, you talk about youngsters and who you're impressed with, and Kaylin Green certainly looks good this season for a youngster for that girls team, and they're start off with a tough season, but Coach Bierman, I think, is trying to put the pieces in to build this program in the right direction.
Well, they got what they desperately needed on Friday, a trip to Minneapolis-Washburn. They come home with a win. 60-56, the final over the Millers. Kaylee Bierman, a double-double with 24 points, 11 boards, nearly made it a triple-double. She had 7 steals as well. Casey Beck had a double-double as well, 14 and 11. And Green again in double digits. And I certainly hope that is not the last of the season.
No.
I did say last week on this program, if they're going to win just one all year, let it be that one. But let's
you and I always like when those Minneapolis teams, unless it's of course Southwest, when they go down to
certainly
defeat.
the Millers.
Yeah.
They're definitely my childhood rival, to be sure.
Well, Coach Bierman, he sent me a text and he apologized for the late text, but certainly is not a big deal. And he just wanted to let me know that they won, and I was so excited for that. I immediately texted him back, "Congrats! What a great job, and nice to get that win." Then I sent you a text and say, "Look, they won."
Yeah, absolutely excited for it. And first win in 34 games for the Cardinal program, hoping the next one will come very soon. They're at Chample Park on Friday and at Blaine next Tuesday. Well, next week we hope to be much better for you here on Sports Night. But in between, we've got some exciting action, a section rivalry, Blue Jackets and Cardinals at the Fieldhouse on Tuesday night. And then in good conference battle between the Osseo Orioles and the Coon Rapids Cardinals on the ice at the Crick on Thursday at 7. We'll see the girls hockey team against the Armstrong Cooper Wings on Tuesday the 10th. But that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Night. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. For the entire crew, including Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young, saying goodnight.